Deep Dive with David Stendhal, where we trade without ego, no emotion, no greed, and no opinion. Before we begin tonight's video blog, please read over our trading disclaimer and remember to trade smart and accept the reality that trading futures is risky. This presentation does not provide buy-sell recommendations, and our information is strictly provided for educational purposes only. As always, trade at your own risk and analysis. Hey, it's David Stendhal. I'm doing a special deep dive today. It's Saturday, it's March 10th, 2018, and I saw an interesting condition when I was reviewing charts, and I thought I'd just point this one out for RBOB, the ETF, and the long side is UGA. Now, short, intermediate, we have, and long term, we have a mixed bag here. The short and intermediate are still downside, kind of a mixed bag here when it comes to the longer term, which is, I think, beginning to turn over, but we'll see as to whether or not it actually does. And then we have a mixed bag here when it comes to the technical ratings. So the only thing that's really giving us a clue here, and this is kind of what is going to spur this this deep dive, is the seasonal tendencies to the market. So let's just take a look at, and I should also point out there's nothing really going on with any of the pro alerts, so there's nothing really to talk about on that side. But if we take a look at the RBOB in itself, a couple things are sort of standing out to me. One, these are daily bars. Friday we had a nice little pop to the market, which was nice. But on Thursday, obviously the day before, we had the market come down and do a bit of a reversal here. And that reversal came in and around this level right through here, this support level. So if I just kind of move my cursor and kind of scroll across to the right, you see that it came close to, but didn't actually touch this level. And this level is 185.45. That's what this level is here. Now, if it's able to come down and touch that, and then follow through with this level here at 182.07, this other support level. I know that they're different colors, but trust me, with the fact that we're above it, it's coming down to these levels, therefore it's support. Now, that's major support. We got a 34 and a 37. The max that we ever track, or we stop tracking, is after 50. So the combination of these two levels, they're different numbers, and so think of it as a very thick highlighter. And when you think of it in those terms, you combine them together, it's a wide support level, but nonetheless very, very strong. Now, with the seasonal tendencies, there's a possibility we're going to test this, and if it's able to actually break it, then I think that the market could really start to sell off major to the downside. There's a lot of ifs that are in this. So if we just simply take a look at the seasonal tendencies, this will give you a better idea as to what I'm talking about. The blue line in this case is 5-year chart. For RBOB, this is the seasonal tendencies. The black line represents this year. If you're in a grayish area, which is obviously where we are right now, that means that there's a correlation between our current year and our 5-year chart. I'm going to follow this with the 10-year also highlighted, 15 highlighted, 20-year highlighted. So what this means is that across all 4 time frames, our current year is tracking the tendencies of whatever the time frame is for the seasonal chart. And this is where we find ourselves. I prefer to look at the 10-year when I'm looking at these things. Now, the trend will be to the upside, but I think over the short term, as you can see right through here, over the course of the next 5 to maybe, well, I'll say this, the next week to 2 weeks of trading days, we could see the market start to sell off. And the reason I find this of interest is that that means that we're going to, if that happens, we're going to find ourselves touching and retesting that that support level, or support levels that I was referring to. And if we're able to break that, then the seasonal tendencies may not come true. But if we're able to define support, then obviously you would see some type of a rally. But I do think that we're going to go through some testing here according to what the seasonal charts are showing us. And so if we take a look at a different form of support and resistance, in this case, for these particular charts, we combine weekly, dailies, and some intraday time frames, and then we give them a weighting and then we're able to get a clearer indication across multiple time frames as to where real support is. So the thing that I'm going to have you kind of look at is this. Here is one major level, 1.88838. That one is weak and is probably going to be the one that we would test. If we're able to break that, then we've got two different levels down here. One is stronger than the other. This third level, this 1.846, that has a strength of 109, and we have four separate conditions, four separate support levels with those different time frames that are all pointing to the same spot. So I'm going to skip over the 1.859 level and just simply say that if we're able to break through this level down here, then we've got a distinct possibility that we could be coming down to this level, and that's a nice trade. And so it's not necessarily going to say that the market is going to turn into this big, huge bearish fiasco. I think that for the most part, we're just simply looking over the short term and trying to see as to whether or not there's opportunity for some profit on the short side. The other thing I'll point out is that I don't really talk about this all that frequently, but we have these other support and resistance levels, and these are intraday, and they're only good for one day. So we've done the numbers for Monday, and what you get is if the market, this is where the market closed on Friday, where could it actually go during the course of the day? You'd expect that if it falls, it's going to come to this lower diamond, yellow. And if it's able to rise, then you would expect it to define some resistance at the upper one. The boxes at the top, those are extreme. That's what the X represents, extreme support and extreme resistance. That's typically if you get kind of a runaway market, that it will stop and do some type of reversal, at least on a short-term basis. So if ever you want these other charts, the only way to find them is go to Signals, Daily Support Resistance Levels. That's what the SR stands for, and then it'll give you a listing. Rather than having separate pages as I do for some of the markets, I got lazy and I basically put them all on a single page. And so you can come down to any of the markets, crude or RBOB, obviously in this case, and get a better idea as to where the market might be falling for that particular day. So long story short, I found that of interest that we came down, and we're now playing with those support levels. Just watch them very carefully, because if we do break them, then some major things are going to take place here, and there's obviously a good tradable opportunity. For the most part, I think that it just warrants having to watch those levels more intently just to see how things are going to play out. So just wanted to point that out and be able to also show these other support resistance levels that I don't always talk about. So thanks for watching. We'll take a look at another market early part next week.